All right, Shalom. I want to start out by giving all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakodash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who I learned this truth from. And I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. And, this is going to be a follow-up, to the video I did, yesterday concerning the dream, that woman had, concerning the mark of the beast, which she said in that dream, her and her husband, got it. And she pretty much, she was condemned because she received it, So I'm just going to pick back up, where I left off. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying and straight to the point. And before I get back to that Revelation 14, I'm going to grab the book of Revelation chapter 16 and verse 2. And it says, "And the first went out and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image." And right, man, those that receive the mark of the beast, they're going to get that grievous sore, which is what? Cancer, ultimately. That cancerous sore that they're going to get wherever they get it, whether it be, in their hands, it doesn't matter, left or right hand, or in their heads, man. Once you get the mark of the beast, that's it. You're doomed. There's nothing you can do to, save yourself. You can't, get it and then try to cut it out, or you're doomed at that point, man. And there's the one thing a lot of our people don't realize is that it's they're going to try to save their lives by, getting this device to try to, prolong. When in reality, the world that we're about to come into is hell, man. It's going to be worse than it is now. Slakia, my phone was running out of space. But just to, finish up, this video. But that's going to be the reality, for people that get, the mark of the beast. As it says in that Revelation 16, verse 2, they're going to receive that grievous sword. That's how you're going to know if you got it, and you won't be able to, take the chip out. Once you get it, you got it. That's it, man. You've pretty much pledged your allegiance to Esau, Edom. You've made that man, your God. So this is the book of Revelation chapter 14, verse 9. As you can see, the subtitle reads, "Doom for Worshippers of the Beast." It says, "And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever. And they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whoso receiveth the mark of his name." And right, man, this is talking about those that are going to be burnt up. She mentioned hell. Again, there's no such thing as hell. Those that, receive the mark of the beast, they're going to be burned up, in the lake of fire, which again, the lake of fire is America, being pelted, with nuclear missiles, because this entire landmass is going to be engulfed in flames, excuse me, Slakia. And that's going to be those people's judgment that get it. Because again, as it says, and in Revelation 9 and 15, it says to slay the third part of men, because again, you have three classes of men on the earth. You have the sons of God, which are, the biblical Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You have the sons of men, which are the different heathen nations. And you have the sons of the wicked, which today are the Edomites, so-called white people. That's who, this coming destruction is for. It's primarily for them, but it's also going to be for 2/3 of the nation of Israel. And also, whatever heathen nations, they're just collateral damage, you know. But those that get caught up in it, are those that most likely are going to have the mark of the beast, man. That's going to be their judgment. Those that don't die during Jacob's trouble, when all hell is breaking loose, when people are here, being taken out and being unalived in the streets, that's going to be their judgment. They're going to be preserved up until that time, and then they're going to be burned up, you know? Like it's extremely vivid, man. So this is the book of Revelation. It's like, yeah, not Revelation, the book of Zechariah, chapter 14 and verse 12. It says, "And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth." And right, this is given a vivid description of someone being burned up. That's going to be the judgment for those that receive the mark of the beast. You're going to be burned, man. And this is what we're hoping to escape. It's like it says, the book of Revelation, 3 and 10, that hour of temptation. We're hoping to be delivered, during that time that the Lord keeps us, so that we don't have to face this judgment, man. Because again, I myself, anytime I read, scriptures on, the World War III, and the missiles, the lake of fire, man, like it puts fear in me, as it should, all of us. But we don't want any part of the Lord's anger, man, because that's what he is about to do. He is about to unleash his anger in the earth, man. And those that are left here in America are going to feel it, man. They're going to feel the full force of the Lord's anger. And this is what we're hoping to be delivered from. So again, if that dream that woman had, as far as concerning her and her husband, then, she's doomed. The Lord allowed this woman to see her judgment, which is scary, man, because she pretty much seen herself get chipped, her and her husband. They didn't get, well, they got it. She didn't give it to her son. But what? She said she was in hell. But, again, there's no such thing as hell. But again, if the Lord allowed this woman to, see her future judgment being chipped, she's going to be burned up, man. She's going to be one of those that feel, Revelation 14. It's no joke. That's going to be the judgment for those that get it. And we are hoping not to get it, man, that we, keep, our integrity, man, during that time, because it is going to be extremely difficult. We're going to have to go, a certain period of time without eating, without food. We're not going to have, homes. We're not going to have shelter. We're just going to be out here. But the Lord is going to be with us, not saying that we're just going to be completely just, down bad. But again, we're going to have to go on a run, just like it says in the scriptures, be, pilgrims upon the earth. So, we're going to have to move from place to place because, again, things are going to get crazy out here, So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Kodash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who I learned this truth from. And I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. Till the next time I say, Shalom.